I hope I get this video up. I need to comment on some things that I notice with repeat offenders. They try to cover it up like they're the innocent individuals they are. I can clearly show you example after example of how a sex offender really operates. And they try to turn the issue around and make it seem as if they're innocent. Let me just state for the fact that all along, I learned this the hard way. No sex offender is going to truly change, quote unquote. If they think that they can try to represent the issue on abused women and abused children, let me state for a fact. I'm watching the behaviors, and I've been a victim of an assault several times. And if they kind of come around to this idea that they're here to help and do all these wonderful things. See, all that talk to me proves exactly why I'm concerned about the issues regarding victims of violent crimes. And I'm going to state this because I know they're coming out in the woodwork. And they're going to start. We've already seen Joe Biden's video with Lady Gaga. They look really concerned and serious. That's the concern that many of us need to address. How offenders play like they're here to help. This is why victims of violent crime need to talk about what they have lived through, because the victims understand the offenders probably better than anyone. When a sex offender comes out and they start putting on a big performance for everybody, like as if they did nothing wrong, usually this is meant to just, let me say the word, I'm trying to find the right word, but they pose a bigger threat than most people even think. Okay, most people don't even report the crimes. Number one, we learned this personally. And most of the time, they'll continue to repeatedly offend and abuse somebody. Now, that doesn't mean the victim doesn't have its share of problems, because believe me, victims survive and endure things, okay? Let's not confuse the facts. When an offender rapes and molests somebody, they can do all types of abuses, and they can hide the evidence, more or less, if you know what I mean. And most of the time, victims don't report it. And we can talk about dating violence, we can talk rape, date rape. Growing up, one of the hardest things I learned personally is that I was silenced by the abuse. I didn't speak out about it. I didn't go and get the help I needed right away. Even while all the while I knew I was abused, all the while I knew I was a victim of an assault, I didn't know how to get the help. I became what they call learned helplessness. But luckily, the events that led to that assault, I was very fortunate. I had friends and people around me that helped me cope and deal with it. But I want to specifically talk about dating violence, why I think it's going to be more important to talk about dating violence now more than ever because of how the offenders operate. You got to know your enemy. You got to know your offenders. And the reason I'm talking openly about it, because I think more people are going to come out and talk about stories like in the case Pizzagate and things like that, because we have confronted this head on. I know there's a lot of people that are going to say, well, they changed or they can be rehabbed. I want to state why we're addressing these issues and why we're going to continue to address it. Because I personally know that these are the type of people that are going to go around saying, well, it was her fault and she's crazy. That's exactly what you should expect. Or he is crazy. Or so when you report it, keep reporting it. Keep notes about the assaults. Keep notes of the issues, because there's going to come a time really soon here that we're going to confront these offenders and we're going to confront these abusers. And we're going to have our day in court. I truly believe our day is coming when we're going to confront the sexual assaults. We're going to confront them. And I don't know when that time will come, if it'll happen in a courtroom or whichever. I personally hope it happens in a courtroom. Me personally, I know that the prostitution rings and all those things, a lot of people want to skate over the issue. They don't want to really deal with it. It's easier to look the other way and passively ignore it. But let me say this. If you notice that passive aggressive behavior, you notice these things, that behavior, it's like everything's under the radar. No one's going to be direct with you. Get right to the point. That's how I look at this whole issue overall. I know there's a lot of specific things, but individually, everyone has individual concerns. Everyone has their individual experiences, whether it be a date rape, dating violence. Let me tell you about some of the injuries as a result of some of the dating injuries. I mean, you can look at case after case where dating violence has led to literally a murder. I could look at these stories regarding, like, in the story of Breonna Dennison. She wasn't on a date that night. He abducted her. She was dead. So I know we're going to stand for this issue. I know we're going to continue to talk about it. I hope more people talk about their experiences, whether it be a situation where you are placed in foster care, or if you are placed in a situation where you were a victim of a violent crime or abuse. Please contact your police department, file the police reports, get the sex crimes kits done, do the right thing for yourself and those around you. Don't be a victim over and over again. Because personally, every person that goes forward and gets their reports together and does the right thing, better things are ahead for you. Do not give up on yourself and those around you. Anyone that gives up on the victims, they don't truly understand the crime that was committed against you personally. I mean, I could go on and on about the personal injuries, and I could go on about some of the things we've personally encountered. But by you going forward and talking about your case, or talking about the cases that you've maybe confronted personally, you're that much better in the long run. And I promise you, our day is coming when we go to court. Thank you for listening.